Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles. I've got a weird one for you today. First of all, I'm pretty sure this is a North American server replay, mostly because of the chat, but also because this is a Tier 5 battle, starring Vincent Player here in the Tier 5 US Navy Premium Destroyer, the USS Hill. We'll talk about the ship in a moment. But aside from the chat, well, I'm fairly sure this is a North American server replay because he's playing a Tier 5 battle, and there are bots present on both teams. Not many, but if you're going to find bots present, I mean, it happens on the EU server as well, especially down at lower tiers. But it's a bit more common on the North American server because of the lower server population. The matchmaker doesn't want to keep you waiting around forever to get into a battle, so if it starts to struggle a bit, it makes up the numbers with a couple of bots, and most of the time you'd never notice. But the majority of both teams are players. One player in particular on the enemy team. You'll know it when you see it. So yes, anyway, Vincent here in the USS Hill. It's a pretty good ship. Its guns are basically exactly the same as on the USS Nicholas, the Tech Tree US Navy Tier 5 destroyer. 5 127mm guns. Although the guns on the Nicholas do reload a little bit faster, but still the Hill has some impressive damage per minute. Although the small health pool means that despite the high DPM, you really don't want to be getting into any prolonged engagements. It's also reasonably quick with a top speed of 37.5 knots, which isn't amazing, but it's certainly not slow. What is bad about it though is the stealth, which is pretty bad, 6.4 kilometers. I mean, again, it's not awful, but it's definitely not good. Oh, and the torpedoes are terrible, but that just means they're no better or worse than any other mid-tier American destroyer torpedoes. Slightly less than a 5.5 kilometer range. He's got some away against the Gassano over there, and he's popped his smoke. However, he is too close, even with a destroyer's smoke firing penalty, to remain undetected. And the Gassano has dodged the first set of torpedoes. However, I was wondering why the Gassano wasn't shooting at him and was instead launching its own torpedoes, which it has just done. And that's when I realised the Gassano was one of the bots. So yeah, that kind of explains it. He's not going to dodge these ones though. And there's Vincent's first kill. Not the first kill of the battle though, although so far it's only the bots that have been dying, which means that none of the players in this battle have done anything to be embarrassed about, at least not yet. Although that's going to happen when one of them starts opening their mouth a bit later on. Vincent's team have lost one destroyer, and again these are all bots. The enemy team, as well as the Gassano, have lost a destroyer and another cruiser. There are still a couple of bots in play. The enemy team have 2 battleships, and on Vincent's team there are 2 bot battleships and 1 cruiser. But don't worry, not for much longer. Now that Marblehead over there is going to be an issue, because that is not a bot. The New York is one of the bots, so I mean, even if it was a player, it wouldn't be that much of a threat against the destroyer unless it got very, very lucky with its guns. The Marblehead, however, is going to be an issue, and he is very aware that Vincent is going to be an issue. Oh, there's the enemy Nicholas. We'll be seeing more of him later. A couple of torpedo hits and floods there on the New York because it's a bot and it doesn't try to avoid them. Oh, actually, 1 torpedo hit and the Marblehead as well. Managed to avoid the other 2. More torpedoes away. The Hill has 3 torpedo launchers, 1 on each side and 1 centerline, which means it can launch no more than 6 torpedoes off any one side. More hits on the New York. Hasn't quite sunk him though, continuing to focus shots. Switching to armor piercing here as well. Broadside of an extremely light cruiser to shoot at, but the Marblehead's gotten away. A few more shots at the New York. Marblehead still spotted, still getting shot at by somebody. And there goes the New York, died to the flooding. And there's the Nicholas again. The bots are now all dead, except for the friendly Piotr Veliki over there. It doesn't honestly look like he's going to last an awful lot longer with those torpedoes coming in, probably from the Nicholas, yep. And yeah, okay, so we're now in a bot-free battle. This is a standard battle, by the way, it's not domination. Not a particularly popular game mode, which is one of the reasons why you don't see it in the battle rotation too often. When you do see it, it tends to be down here at lower tiers, although not all the time. So it means there are no cap circles. Each team just has 1 base. This was the original game mode, basically ported straight over from World Attacks. Domination didn't happen until a bit later. The Nicholas was spotting him, but he's focused elsewhere, so he's able to get some shots away, which completely missed without worrying about the Nicholas, but he is going to have to worry about the Clemson. And that was a big old hit. Well, it wasn't that big, it was 2,000 damage, but the Clemson doesn't have a huge health pool. And he's not shooting back. Which means he's almost certainly launching torpedoes, or probably would have been launching torpedoes if the penultimate salvo from Vincent here hadn't knocked out a torpedo launcher. However, that doesn't mean he didn't get some away before the torpedo launcher was knocked out, so in the absence of any hydroacoustic search consumable, you just assume torpedoes have been launched and you manoeuvre accordingly. And honestly, if the Clemson had launched any torpedoes, Vincent would have seen them by now, so it's all good. And the enemy team have just suffered another loss, with the friendly Hawkins taking out the enemy V-22. Which means there's now only 4 of them left. They are heavily outnumbered. They're behind on points. And somebody, and it looks like the friendly Clemson over there, is inside the enemy cap circle. However, the Piotr Veliki has just bought the enemy team a little bit of breathing space by taking down the Hawkins. And if you look at the minimap, you'll see that half of Vincent's team, 1 cruiser, 1 battleship and 1 destroyer, are chasing after 1 lone enemy cruiser all the way up to the northeast, which means that down here, around the enemy base, where it actually matters, it's actually fairly even. It's 3 on 3. And of course the bots are all dead, which means these are all players who are, technically at least, capable of thinking and breathing at the same time. Enemy Nicholas is attracting a lot of fire there, I think most of it probably from the friendly Clemson. So he's smoked up. Up to the north, the enemy Kirov has managed to sink the friendly Nicholas, although whether or not the friendly Nicholas managed to get any torpedoes away remains to be seen. I mean, the friendly Nicholas up there to the northeast was so close. If he had hit the Kirov with torpedoes, the Kirov would be dead already, so yeah, it's not going great. I mean, it's not going badly, but the huge kill advantage and points advantage that they did have is rapidly evaporating. The friendly Clemson has been forced to bug out from the cap circle. Vincent here is skirting dangerously close to the enemy cap circle, but of course he's getting shot at and hurt pretty badly by the enemy Nicholas inside that smoke screen up there, because while the Nicholas can't see him directly, the Piotr Veliki and the Kaiser can, so of course that means the Nicholas can see him too. So he very wisely drops a smoke, manoeuvres to take advantage of it, and yeah, that was really close. He's now down to less than 1,500 hit points. Good news though, the enemy Kirov up to the north has been caught and finally sunk, but the 2 friendly ships up to the north, in particular the slow-ass battleship, is basically out of position for the rest of this battle. Vincent pops his damage control, restoring full power to his engines. The enemy Nicholas has gotten spotted. Shots out. He actually scores a hit. He's not the only one shooting at him, of course. Completely missed there. Completely missed there. Completely missed there. Starts giving it a little bit more lead. Completely missed. No, wait, he set 1 fire. And he's got him. I think he fired 20 shots and he hit with 2. Or possibly he fired 25 and he hit with 3. Either way, the overwhelming majority of the shots that he fired there actually missed the Nicholas, which makes what comes up in chat now all the more hilarious. At first I wasn't even sure that the Nicholas was talking to Vincent. What's he... What? What is that? I can't repeat exactly what the... And he is talking to Vincent, by the way. Can't repeat exactly what the Nicholas said, because this is a family show, but I zoomed in. You all know what it was. Vincent seems to be aware, though, and entirely unconcerned that the Nicholas is in fact talking to him. I'm still not entirely sure why, but there he is again in chat. Enjoy the band, get cancer. Oh, lovely. But why? Because he sank you? That's his job. You're on the enemy team. I don't understand. Am I missing something important here? Is there some context to this conversation that I'm just not getting? Don't worry, the mystery will soon be revealed. And things are not going particularly well, by the way. The Omaha's just died. The other friendly battleship, the only other surviving player on the team, which is a Wyoming, by the way, and my god, that thing's slow, and also not very good. Oh, hang on a minute. So the Wyoming is doing his best to head south, but there it is in chat. The Nicholas is now saying, watch the aimbot, fellas. You think Vincent's running an aimbot? He fired like 25 shots at you, and at best 3 of them hit. If that's an aimbot, I'd be asking for a refund right now. But hey, never mind. I mean, it wouldn't do to let things like logic and facts get in the way of your accusations, now would it? Funnily enough, the Nicholas isn't the only one in this battle who's suffering from delusions of adequacy. Check out the Wyoming. He's basically more or less on full health. He's now starting to head south. Oh, and the Nicholas is back in chat. You boys need to report that prick. You really don't.
Smoke generator started.
Oh, Vincent just got surprised by the Piotr Veliki. He popped his smoke, and just in the nick of time. He's now down to less than 1,000 hit points. I mean, the Piotr Veliki, he's on 5 kills. He is clearly capable of thinking and breathing at the same time. And he's unlikely to fall for those torpedoes. The Nicholas is back there in chat. Kill that hacker, boys. Honestly, you need to put the crack pipe down and step away from the keyboard. No sign of the Piotr Veliki. Start shooting at the Kaiser, because at that point he was the only one he could see. The Piotr Veliki pops up. He scored the Confederate and the High Caliber Award. Immediately switches fire to the Piotr Veliki, because, I mean, you know, that guy is on 5 kills. He clearly knows what he's doing. He's rewarded with a fire. But have a look at the Wyoming. Tier 4 battleship. Not a particularly good Tier 4 battleship, although its high explosive shells are pretty nice, you know, when it can actually hit the target, which rarely happens. Tier 4 battleship given flat broadside to a pair of Tier 5 battleships. He was on full health like 40 seconds ago. But these 2 guys are angling against him at... Oh, yeah, he's not. So, I think we can all guess what's about to happen to the Wyoming. He is receiving a paddling of epic proportions. He's trying to heal it back. Piotr Veliki's got some more shots out, inflicting more damage, more shots out, and there goes the Wyoming. Nobody was surprised by that, except for the Wyoming. Yeah, cheating. Of course they are, because the only way you could have possibly lost all of your hit points in 30 seconds while giving broadside to a pair of battleships 1 tier higher than you was if they were cheating. And then our little friend in the Nicholas, who doesn't seem to understand that the Wyoming, who's not on his team, wasn't actually talking about Vincent, says, yeah, he's got an aimbot. At this point, the Wyoming would have done well to simply shut up, but no. Just in case anybody still paying attention didn't realise that the Wyoming has no idea how this game works, he makes it worse by saying, I'm on full health and you'll magically hit my weak points. Yeah, sure thing. Nobody was hitting your weak spots, Wyoming. Well, technically they were. The entirety of your hull is a weak spot, but they were punching right through your strongest armour because you were getting 2 battleships a tier higher than you, a perfect flat target to shoot at with their large caliber armour-piercing shells. The clue there, by the way, is in the name of the shells. They're called armour-piercing shells because they pierce armour, unless you angle it. And the Nicholas, because he still thinks the Wyoming's talking about Vincent here, replied to that by claiming that he apparently has a direct link to the developers and has reported Vincent directly to Wargaming. Ooh. Meanwhile, Vincent... I mean, he's in the cap circle, but it's going to take him... Oh, no. No, this isn't happening. He is, of course, the last one left alive on his team. He's got no smoke left, and here comes the Piotr Veliki, who... Ouch. Yeah, well, that was fairly inevitable. But the Nicholas isn't done yet. He says, nice, hacker down. You'd think at some point the Nicholas would learn to just shut up and stop embarrassing himself. But, well, you know, I guess when you're in this deep, it really doesn't make any difference if you're just going to go deeper. And if you have to lose the battle... At least lose it to somebody like the Piotr Veliki, who did finish that match on 7 kills. But that's 1,120 base experience on a defeat for Vincent, which is actually better than all but the top 3 scoring players on the enemy team. I mean, that's got a sting. But if you have to lose, at least lose to the Piotr Veliki. So how much damage did Vincent actually do to the Nicholas, who was convinced that in order to sink him, Vincent had to be running an aimbot? 5,000 damage. I think we can probably all agree that Nicholas should probably just learn to shut up. But of course he didn't, and in fact he even made it worse by messaging Vincent directly after the battle. He's not wrong though. I think somebody is going to be getting a ban as a result of this particular battle, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to be Vincent, which just goes to prove, bearing in mind that this is from the second highest scoring player on the enemy team, just goes to prove the old saying that even a broken clock can tell the right time at least twice a day. Hope you all enjoyed it, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.